Well, hello, it's Dexter and me, and we've just been enjoying a very, very sunny Sunday here in South Wales. And it is Sunday, the 28th of May 2023, and it is World Blood Cancer Awareness Day. And I wanted to make this video because, well, I have blood cancer, and hopefully my story may help raise awareness of it. Now, it's the fifth most common cancer, but probably one that the fewest people, to be honest, have ever heard about. It's not like, your sort of classic, lung cancer, skin cancer, things like that. It is a blood-borne cancer. So I'm going to tell you my story, as I said, hopefully to help raise awareness. And if one person sees this video and is prompted to do something about a symptom they may be suffering, then it's done some good. Now, my story starts back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. I'd been having some heart issues, so I was having some tests and spent some time in hospital due to those. But I was suffering some neuropathy. I was getting like numbness, pins and needles, that sort of thing. So they ran some blood and urine tests, and it transpired I had something called MGUS, which is I may butcher the pronunciation, but it's monoclonal gammopathy of unknown significance. I don't know what that means, but I spoke to a haematologist at the time who told me that the risk is that I will develop multiple myeloma at some stage in my life, but in all likelihood that would be years down the line, much later. So happy with this news, I carried on with my life. Then roll on early 2014, I lost my mother, and at the same time I was getting ill all the time, and I mean all the time. I was getting colds, flu-like symptoms, vomiting, diarrhea, all sorts of infections all the time. My doctor signed me off work, believing it was all stress related due to the highly stressful job that I was doing, allied to the fact that my mother just passed away. But I kind of knew, that I wasn't stressed. But I listened to him. He signed me off work. I was off for quite some time, and when I went back to work, I started developing some back pain, bit of discomfort at first. In my lower back, but then I found I was always like shuffling around in my chair at my desk, lifting things was becoming very problematical. I was actually decorating and rebuilding my daughter's bedroom at the time, so assembling furniture, laying a new floor, and I was in absolute agony. I went to see a chiropractor a few times, but that didn't do any good. And eventually my wife Lisa, she suggested that I self-refer to our local hospital, which is Singleton Hospital here in Swansea, for an x-ray. So I took an hour off work one day, went down the road to Singleton and had my x-ray. The radiographer told me that they would send the results to my GP, and it usually took around 2 weeks. I said, okay, fair enough. Went back to work, then went home. And at about 9 o'clock that night, I was soaking in the bath, as my back was quite bad. I was trying to rest it when my wife came in, and she said, "Your GP's on the phone." I said, "It's a bit strange, 9 o'clock. It can't be good news, can it?" And it wasn't. He told me that my L3 vertebrae had suffered a wedge fracture. So if you think of the bone like a square, it had fractured like that. So my spinal cord was like kinked there around this fracture. And he also said I had several suspicious looking shadows on my spine, and I needed to go to hospital. He told me that he would be ringing them first thing the following morning, and to go to I think it was Ward 12 in Singleton Hospital in Swansea. So I rang work the next morning to book a day's leave. Said, look, something's happened. I need some time off, short notice. They were fine. Lisa came with me, and as soon as I set foot in there, he said, well, where's your bag? You're not going home. Okay, fair enough. So Lisa came back home, got me some stuff, and then I had a week of tests. So I had a bone marrow biopsy, which I'd had before back in 2010, 2011, at the start of all this. And that came back clear. So I had another bone marrow biopsy. I had lots of scans, lots of X-rays, MRI, CT scans, things like that, and a very uncomfortable lumbar puncture. Anyway, the upshot was, after a week, they told me, they confirmed the worst fears, that I did have multiple myeloma. But they sent me home saying that be careful, obviously, don't do anything stupid to risk, damaging your back any further, because it will need surgery. And that I would be starting on a course of radiotherapy the following week. So I went in. This was in October of 2014. So it was the 23rd of October 2014 that I was diagnosed. Anyway, throughout November, I had a number of radiotherapy sessions through November, early December. And then about mid-December, I was sitting at home when all of a sudden I was paralysed. I couldn't move. My back went into spasm. The pain was indescribable, really indescribable. I couldn't move, so foolishly, instead of ringing an ambulance, I rang the hospital and said I'd make my own way there. And my next door neighbour, bless him, came in, helped Lisa get me into the car. Lisa drove me down to Singleton, where I was then wheelchaired in by a porter. And the next morning, I was rushed to the Heath in Cardiff for emergency spinal surgery. My spine was stabilised, but it has left me permanently now in pain, unfortunately, and disabled. I can't walk very far. I haven't got full range of motion, that sort of thing. But that's all by the by. That's happened. That's that. That's not the main part of the story. Anyway, they then started me on some chemotherapy treatment. I can't remember the exact drugs, but I think one of them was dexamethasone, which is a steroid, and then it was drug thalidomide, and something else. And anyway, after 2 sessions, I developed what's called a saddle embolus, or a blood clot, in my right lung. My right lung had filled with blood. Symptoms were very similar to that of a heart attack, I would imagine. Chest pain down the left arm, sweating, but my right leg as well was really, really swollen. I was had a DVT there, had to go into my lung, and caused all sorts of havoc. So I was rushed into hospital in March then of 2015. Stayed there for about 6 weeks actually, while this clot cleared. Now, when I was having my chemotherapy, I was also having 4 injections every day, which Lisa was administering for blood thinners, tinzaparin, I think it was called, which is an anti-clotting blood thinner. But I still suffered this clot. Anyway, in May of 2015, I had some stem cells harvested, and in June of that year, July the 9th, 2015, the good cells were plonked back into me, and I had the good fortune to have nearly 8 years in remission from myeloma until late February. I think it was 20th of February this year. I relapsed, or I had the news that I'd relapsed, and we are where we are, basically, with that. But I want to tell you my story. And urge you, if you have any nagging bone pain, especially in your back or in your bigger bones, but it could be your ribs as well, but any form of nagging bone pain that just will not go away, please don't ignore it. Go and see your doctor. Get an X-ray done. It's probably nothing. All right, it probably is nothing. But if there's a slim chance that it is myeloma, then it's best if it's detected early. If I'd let mine go any longer, I really don't think I would be here today to tell you this story on Blood Cancer Awareness Day. My message is, if you're suffering, don't ignore it, please. I know us chaps are like, particularly, we ignore things and you think, oh, I'll go away. If it doesn't, then please go and get yourself checked out. Okay. I know it's a worry sometimes, and as I said, it'll probably be nothing. You'll probably be fine. But just in case, take my story as an example and go and get yourself checked out. Okay. Right then, that is it. And for this rather strange Sunday video, I say strange because I normally post on Saturdays and Tuesdays, and I normally post like photographic based videos, nothing to do with health at all, to be honest, 99% of the time. So if you're into that sort of thing, consider watching something else on my channel, consider subscribing. We've got a really friendly, thriving little community here at During the Meanwhilest. And you can join Dexter, my border terrier, and me on our little sort of photographic adventures. So if you're like sort of like bang average really landscape, nature, macro type photography, then this could be the place for you. But yeah, it is Blood Cancer Awareness Day. Please be aware that these cancers do exist. Okay, and as I said, if you've got any sort of worries at all, go and see your GP. Okay, it costs you nothing, a bit of time. But it could put your mind at rest, or worst case scenario, it does detect something, but it will detect it early enough if you haven't, or if you don't ignore things. Anyway, I always sign my videos off by saying stay safe, stay well, look after yourselves, your loved ones and your little pets, and just be nice. Okay, be nice to yourself, that's important. Okay, be nice to yourself, be nice to the people around you, and be nice to this planet as well, and it will repay you, I promise you it will. Join us on Tuesday for another video. I should be a Tuesday. I think I'm planning a review of my new camera, if I got the energy to film it, and that should be out on Tuesday. So join us then. Okay, ta-ra.